Kelly Ripa has always been known for her bright smile, quick wit, and the kind of energy that fills a room the moment she walks in. For years, viewers have watched her laugh, tease, and share moments from her life with a sense of warmth that feels almost personal. But this time, her voice carried something different, something softer, something real. When Kelly recently opened up about her husband, Mark Consuelos, it wasn't done with drama or exaggeration. It came from a place of honesty, love, and deep connection, and that's exactly why it touched so many people. Kelly and Mark are often seen as one of Hollywood's strongest couples. Their love story didn't start on a red carpet or at a fancy event. It began quietly, unexpectedly, and grew into a partnership built on trust, laughter, and loyalty. Over the years, fans have admired how they support each other, tease each other, and still manage to flirt like they're newly in love. But behind the smiles and playful banter, life, like it does for everyone, sometimes brings moments that make you pause. Kelly shared that seeing Mark go through a challenging period made her reflect on just how much he means to her. She didn't use heavy words, she didn't try to sound dramatic. Instead, she spoke like a wife who has spent decades loving the same man and suddenly realized how fragile even the strongest people can feel. She admitted that Mark is usually the steady one, the calm presence, the guy who makes jokes at the worst possible time just to lighten the mood, the one who says, "I'm fine," even when he's clearly not. And that's what made this moment different. Kelly explained that there are times when love isn't about grand gestures or romantic speeches. Sometimes love is sitting quietly next to someone, noticing the small changes, and choosing to be there without being asked. What made her words even more powerful was the way she mixed emotion with humor, because that's who Kelly Ripa is. She joked that Mark still tries to act tough, still insists on doing things himself, and still believes he doesn't need help, and she laughed as she said it, because anyone who's been married long enough knows that kind of stubborn confidence all too well. But then her tone shifted. She talked about how moments like these remind you not to take time for granted, how even after years of marriage, you can still discover new layers of appreciation for the person beside you. She said that watching Mark face things quietly made her love him in a deeper, calmer way, less flashy but more meaningful. Their relationship has always thrived on honesty. They argue, they joke, they disagree, and they make up. Kelly has never pretended that marriage is perfect. In fact, she often laughs about how imperfect it can be. But this moment showed something deeper, the kind of bond that isn't shaken when things feel uncertain. Kelly described how Mark remains strong, positive, and very much himself, how he still flirts with her, still makes fun of her outfits, and still believes he's right about absolutely everything. And she laughed as she said it, because anyone who's been married long enough knows that kind of stubborn confidence all too well. What stood out most was the tenderness in her voice when she spoke about gratitude. Gratitude for shared years, gratitude for laughter, gratitude for a partner who continues to stand beside her, not just in the spotlight, but in quiet, personal moments that the public never sees. She reminded listeners that love doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like humor in uncomfortable moments. And sometimes it looks like choosing to stay present instead of worrying about what you can't control. Mark, in true Mark fashion, reportedly brushed off the attention with his signature charm. He kept things light, he made jokes, and he reminded everyone why Kelly fell in love with him in the first place: his confidence, his warmth, and his ability to stay grounded no matter what. Their story isn't about fear, it's about partnership. It's about two people who have built a life together and continue to choose each other day after day. It's about facing moments that make you pause, holding hands through them, and still finding reasons to laugh when the day ends. Kelly's openness wasn't meant to worry anyone, it was meant to remind people that even the happiest couples have serious conversations behind closed doors, and that those conversations can bring you closer if you let them. In a world full of headlines and rumors, her words stood out because they were genuine. No exaggeration, no panic, just love, honesty, and appreciation for the man who has been her partner for so many years. And maybe that's why this story resonated so deeply, because at its core, it's not about fame, it's not about television, it's about love that lasts, love that grows quieter, stronger, and more meaningful with time. So if this story touched you, if it reminded you of someone special in your own life, take a moment to appreciate them, share a laugh, say something kind, and remember that the strongest relationships aren't built on perfection, but on presence. If you enjoyed this heartfelt story, don't forget to show your support by liking, sharing, and staying connected for more stories that celebrate love, honesty, and real-life moments that bring us all a little closer. As Kelly continued to reflect on this chapter of their life, she made it clear that love changes shape over time. What once felt exciting and unpredictable slowly becomes steady, familiar, and deeply comforting. And she said that realizing this has made her appreciate Mark in ways she hadn't fully understood before. She shared that after years of marriage, you think you know everything about your partner. You think you've seen every side of them. But then life surprises you, and suddenly you see them through a different lens, a quieter lens, one filled with patience, empathy, and admiration. Kelly admitted that there were moments when she caught herself watching Mark more closely than usual, listening to the way he spoke, noticing the expressions on his face, paying attention to the small things she once took for granted. And she laughed gently as she said that Mark noticed it too. Apparently, Mark jokingly asked her why she was staring like she was trying to read his mind. And in true Kelly fashion, she replied that after all these years, she still hadn't figured him out completely. That playful exchange, she said, felt strangely comforting. Even in moments of uncertainty, their humor never disappears. Kelly explained that laughter has always been the glue in their relationship. When things feel heavy, one of them always finds a way to break the tension, usually Mark. He'll make an unexpected joke, exaggerate a situation, or pretend everything is perfectly fine just to get a smile out of her. And she admitted that sometimes she lets herself believe him, even if just for a moment, because laughter gives her strength too. She talked about how love isn't always about having serious conversations or finding perfect words. Sometimes it's about sitting on the couch together, not saying much at all, and still feeling understood. It's about knowing that even in silence, you're not alone. Kelly also shared how this experience reminded her why they work so well as a couple. They don't try to be perfect, they don't pretend to have all the answers, they simply show up for each other every day in small but meaningful ways. She described how Mark still insists on being independent, still believes he's the strongest person in the room, and still refuses to slow down unless absolutely necessary. And she teased that convincing him to take things easy is sometimes harder than convincing him he's wrong, which, according to her, almost never happens. But behind that teasing tone was admiration. Kelly spoke about Mark's resilience, his positivity, and his ability to remain grounded even when life throws unexpected challenges his way. She said that watching him stay calm and optimistic made her realize how lucky she is to share her life with someone who refuses to let difficult moments define him. She also acknowledged that being open about personal experiences isn't always easy, especially when you're used to being strong for everyone else. But she felt honesty matters, not because people need details, but because people need reminders that real love includes vulnerability. Fans responded with warmth, not worry. Many saw their own relationships reflected in Kelly's words: long marriages, shared lives, quiet concerns that never make headlines but shape who you become together. Kelly emphasized that their story is not about fear or uncertainty, it's about awareness, about choosing gratitude over panic, about recognizing that every day together is something worth appreciating.
She said that moments like these don't weaken a relationship, they strengthen it. They remind you why you chose each other in the first place. They deepen the bond in ways excitement alone never could. Mark, she added, continues to be exactly who he's always been. Confident, charming, a little stubborn, still flirting, still teasing, still acting like nothing can slow him down. And she smiled as she said that loving him means loving all of those things too. Their love story isn't loud or dramatic, it's steady. It's real. It's built on years of shared experiences, private jokes, and unwavering support. Kelly ended her reflection with a simple but powerful reminder that love isn't measured by perfect moments, but how you care for each other when life feels ordinary, complicated, or uncertain. And perhaps that's why her words resonated so deeply. Because at the heart of it all, this story isn't about health updates or headlines, it's about two people who continue to choose love, humor, and partnership no matter what comes their way. If this story made you think of someone special, take a moment to appreciate them, because the most meaningful love stories are often the quiet ones, written not in grand gestures, but in everyday moments that truly matter.